UncaDollas, don't you have anything better to do with your time than talk about the end of the world? Well, not really. So here's another story about the end of the world. No, really, you just don't want to know this. There's a remote but extremely terrifying possibility that our planet is about to be swallowed from within by a man-made black hole. In fact, our planet could be booby-trapped with baby black holes already. It is one weird way to go. One moment you're here, and the next, well, you're not. It will be sudden and dramatic. Within seconds, the planet and everything and everyone on it is reduced to nothingness. Or actually, it is squeezed together into a tiny black hole, no more than 9 millimeters wide. If you were to play back the tape of what went wrong very slowly, you would see something very peculiar. Suddenly you would see the Earth deform. Obviously, not a good sign. Our planet is flattened out to become a disk. Beams of radiation shoot up from where the poles used to be, and then zip, the planet's gone. Just like that. Within a split second, it would vanish right before your eyes. Understandably, on board the International Space Station, this would cause some confusion, to say the very least. Astronauts would be stunned to find that their spaceship suddenly no longer orbits a planet, but, well, nothing much really. The only thing that's out there is this tiny black spot, invisible to the eye. Still, the speck has the same mass as the Earth. For the time being, the space station will remain in orbit, just like the moon and the satellites. A very silly thing to see, of course. Perhaps some astronauts will realize what has happened. They may recall how back in their early 21st centuries, physicists tried to create baby black holes in a lab, and how many, many years later, well, those black holes obviously did show up after all. Let's build a hole. The science of do-it-yourself black holes. Luckily, the chances of the disaster outlined above really happening should be vanishingly small. But some risk is there all the same. First, you should know that in principle, making a black hole is pretty easy. Basically, the only thing you need to do this is to slam two tiny subatomic particles together in a particle accelerator. If you use enough force, the collision should yield a tiny black hole. Until recently, most scientists believed that creating baby black holes couldn't be done on our planet. You would need a particle accelerator as big as the solar system, most scientists assumed, but nowadays that's all changed. Quite a lot of physicists think a much smaller particle accelerator can do the trick too, and in fact we have at CERN, or at such large hadron colliders, a particle smasher that opened in Switzerland in 2007. Luckily, a man-made black hole won't be a roaring monster that gobbles up the planet and stars. Rather, science expects an incredibly tiny baby black hole, much smaller than an atom. What's more, it should evaporate immediately. Black holes give off radiation, and our black hole would be so incredibly small and hot, it would radiate itself away in less than 0.000000000000000 on and on 1 seconds. That's why physicists feel pretty confident about working on the Large Hadron Collider. No problem if a black hole shows up. According to the laws of physics, black holes from the lab just shouldn't be stable. But there is a small possibility that those predictions are wrong. Particle accelerators are there to break new ground, to explore new physics. The physics science is about to explore is really new and exotic. Nobody has ever seen a mini black hole before. In fact, no one has even had the faintest idea how gravity works on very small objects. So, it's 2007 and science switches on its Large Hadron Collider. According to some calculations, this super particle accelerator could pop up one black hole every second. And there they are. Black hole, black hole, black hole, pop, pop, pop. Now, suppose, against all expectations, these baby black holes aren't the fleeting, unstable mini-monsters we're expecting them to be. Suppose they're stable. At first, no one would even notice. They would They wouldn't eat up the lab or something. Instead, they would just kind of escape one by one. The baby black holes would leak away from the lab, going through concrete walls as if they didn't exist. If you're that small, traveling through solid objects is no problem. You just rarely bump into a molecule, and then slowly, our refugee black holes would begin to sink toward the center of the Earth, attracted by the gravity, and there they would sit and wait. But sooner or later, a hole will indeed bump into an obstacle, an electron, or an atom's nucleus, tiny stuff like that. The black hole will swallow whatever it encounters, and this will make it heavier, and it'll have more gravity, and pull in some more particles, and get heavier still, and then suck in some more and more matter. Eventually, the black holes will merge. They will suck up the Earth's core, the mantle, and finally the entire planet. Gladly, it would take baby black holes thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years to mature, and that could give us some time to learn more about them. But the bad news is, even in the distant future, there isn't much we can do. You cannot find or catch a black hole that is so small you can't even see it, and hide deep within the molten iron core of the planet. The only option, then, is to evacuate the planet, if we happen to discover the predictions were wrong. Or should we leave? Well, that's hard to say. As far as you know, everything should be okay. Our world is constantly being bombarded by tiny, high-energy particles from outer space. This should create many, many black holes, high up in the atmosphere, up to 100 each year. And as far as we know, these black holes are indeed unstable. For the last 4.5 billion of years, our planet didn't die. On the other hand, in physics, quite often a total unexpected new phenomenon pops up. In recent years, physicists lifted their eyebrows over dark energy, the pioneer anomaly, the missing of the Higgs boson, the pentaquark, and the suspected drift from the fundamental constants. No, I'm not going to explain that all again. But the bottom line is this: physicists are constantly being surprised by weird new stuff that wasn't in their theories yet. Now, you don't want to be such a surprise to be a black hole that has our planet for breakfast. And then there's this. In March 2005, scientists working on the relativistic heavy ion collider in uptown New York created a fireball that indeed looked awfully much like a black hole. It was unstable. In fact, it wasn't even a real black hole. Or so the scientists involved say. Perhaps the first man-made black hole is on the way to the center of the planet already.